Booklatan is a book babbling podcast where we have a glass of wine and talk about all things books. I'm Antoinette, a relapsing bookworm on a journey of rediscovering my addiction to reading.
I'm Kate, an oat milk latte enthusiast who loves writing in my books and dog-earing the pages. In this episode, we're having a glass of Lola No. 5 Rosé from Aragon, Spain, and it's a take on sangria crafted with a blend of frizzante rosé. Frizzante, so fancy. Made from garnacha and tempranillo grapes with hibiscus flower and natural ginger flavors. Cheers.
Cheers. I have no idea what garnacha
I
is.
do not know what any of this is.
Matamis.
It's
Masarap.
sweet. It is very sweet.
Suabe siya.
Yeah.
It's very smooth.
Di na lang na tayo nagsalita na uminom na lang.
Oh no, I think I might want a second glass of this. Oh no.
Oh no.
Okay. So, in this episode, we are talking about a very interesting phenomenon going on in, I guess, primarily online spaces. Is it?
Yeah, bookish social media. So,
Bookish social media,
Book Talk.
Bookstagram.
Mostly Book Talk and Bookstagram. Very visual media.
May Tumblr pa ba?
Oh my God. Meron pa naman ata. Yes, I would say yes. May
Is there
Tumblr pa.
book Tumblr?
Oh yeah, for sure.
But for sure, wala nang live journal.
You know, shockingly enough, meron pa. But like it's...
Dude, it was
niche.
taken over by the Russians.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's got like niche communities on there. Like really weird
Still?
stuff. Yeah, but it's still alive.
Oh, so I heard that sorry, segue.
Sobrang segue.
But like LiveJournal was bought by a Russian company.
It was.
And then to get back into your account, you have to agree to like these shady terms of agreement.
Oh, that I don't know. Because
If
I've
I
never gotten into my accounts there ever again.
Yeah.
I just browse them. You know, it's fun reading. Like, oh, wow, 13-year-old me was super edgy.
Oh, yeah, listening to some emo shit from the early 2000s. Anyway, so on today's topic, we are talking about bookshelf wealth. Okay, so let's kick it off. What is bookshelf wealth? And like, what is it basically?
Well, when I first heard the term bookshelf wealth, at first I thought it was like this really weird rich people thing. Like,
Okay.
obviously, it's got the word wealth in it, right?
Right.
But when you look at the definition, it's actually pretty cool. The description of a bookshelf wealth aesthetic, or just generally bookshelf wealth in general, it's basically like a shelf of books that speak to your personal taste and experience. And amongst those books are things like pieces of art and knickknacks, picture frames, magnets, little statuettes, whatever. I guess in Filipino, you'd call it anik-anik. The never-ending culture of anik-anik. And it's all displayed together in a way that tells a story of who the owner is. You know, the things they like reading, the things that they enjoy, and even places they've been to, or things that they're a fan of, fandom. Like a lot of pieces that you see in bookshelf wealth videos or photos are things like Funko Pops or little figurines from things that TV shows and movies and whatnot that people are a fan of. So basically, when you say bookshelf wealth, the wealth that it is pertaining to is the wealth of experience of a person. So it's basically sort of the antithesis to minimalism in that it is a compilation of someone's reading taste and fandom taste and reading experiences.
Right. So my understanding, this is a relatively new term to me, and just not knowing anything about it. If you had said when you had said bookshelf wealth to me, my first my first guess or like first understanding would be like it's like how a dragon hoards treasure.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Like it's my book treasure, and it's like how I've like held on to books throughout the years and collected this sort of hodgepodge eclectic mix that maybe doesn't make sense to anyone but myself.
That is essentially what bookshelf wealth is meant to be. It doesn't really follow a set pattern. In fact, I find the phrase bookshelf wealth aesthetic sort of incorrect because it isn't a one size fits all kind of thing. You know, It's not an aesthetic so much as it is a representation of a person. So there's no one aesthetic. It would vary depending on who owns the bookshelf in question.
Right. And so what I understand is this term or this sort of movement or development has turned into something that has become that's grown a little bit of a problematic side.
Yeah. So, with anything anything that portrays the human experience, it's always at risk of commodification. And I think that's just, I guess part and parcel of existing on this earth. We live, we are, therefore we consume. So there. But like the thing that I find a little problematic about the whole thing is when you sell it or you package it as something that can be achieved through consuming, through purchasing, through commodifying it. So like when you go on TikTok or you go on Bookstagram, actually I wouldn't even say Bookstagram or BookTok specifically, because these people who are readers, they don't seem to be really buying into it. It seems like a thing that's happening more with designers.
Okay.
Interior, not internal. I'm designing my internal organs. Interior
designers.
It seems to be a thing more with interior design. Na parang, you want to achieve like this certain look. So your bookshelf has got to be filled with the following books. The following books that are like the it books of the moment, the it girl reads. Like, which is not me bashing these authors, because I'm a fan of these authors as well. But like, your bookshelf has to be filled with like books by Hanya Yanagihara and Sally Rooney and Lee Bardugo and V.E. Schwab and these R.F. Kuang is another, which isn't me bashing those authors because I love them. But like the design intent is to have these books on your shelf because they're popular and not because they're the taste of the reader or the owner of the shelf in question. And then when you decorate it, you're like, buy this piece of art because it looks good, or buy this anik-anik because it fits into the aesthetic, or buy this art deco lamp or whatever, buy this sofa, buy this hanging. And it's very buy. When, I'm not saying that even the bookshelf wealth that I like isn't buy, because it also is consumption.
Because to be honest, I have bought several copies of the same book. Like, if they're my favorite book, because it's a new cover.
Right.
Or like a really pretty cover.
But the aim of that was to fulfill your love or appreciation for that book. But like, when the point of buy all these things is to fit an aesthetic, just for the sake of having that aesthetic, you're basically commodifying, turning the human experience of reading and traveling and finding out all these new things into a product, which sucks. Because like, when you look at a bookshelf that's full of books and anik-anik, it's supposed to speak to a person's experience, not to a designer's vision. You know what I mean?
Honestly, I find the whole arranging your bookshelf books by color so chaotic.
Yeah, where would you even find a title?
Like, how do you... It's like, it's obviously made for someone who doesn't read by author.
Visually, yeah.
Like, parang, yes, maganda siya tingnan, malamig sa mata, pero parang, where do I even begin to find certain things?
That's not even the worst bookshelf arrangement trend I've heard of.
What is the worst?
Yung nakabaliktad yung libro.
But why?
Para yung pages yung nasa labas. Para hindi masira yung aesthetic ng sala mo or whatever.
What?
Like, kasi like, di ba, minimalist.
Okay.
Yung trend du jour or whatever. Na minimalist spaces, beige everywhere, white everywhere. Like, di ba, there's that phenomenon of sad beige mom, exactly. So like, the sad beige mom, although to be fair, this design tactics thing predates the sad beige mom.
Really?
You turn around, I think Lauren Conrad was the one who first mentioned this design thing. But yeah, you turn your book inside out so that yung kita, yung pages, which are a more neutral color, para hindi masisira yung aesthetic ng sala mo. Yup.
At kailangan ko uminom.
Yeah. So that's what I mean about like commodification. I mean, actually, even the rainbow shelves are still speak to the experience of someone. Kasi like, okay, this is a person who likes color, who likes visual representations of the books that they read. I mean, nakikita nila yung, na nabuo nila yung rainbow. But like, you're buying these books not because you think you're gonna read them or not because they speak to your taste, but because they fulfill this image that you want people to think of you. Diba? It's the commodification of a human experience. And I don't vibe with
it's
that.
becoming like books as a status symbol. Ganun.
Books as a status symbol, books as a marker of who you are, but like it's a fake marker. Ganon. I mean, there's nothing wrong with reading those books, or even there's nothing wrong at all with reading popular book talk books. But like, have them on your shelf because you want to read them, not because you're chasing an aesthetic.
Or like the the sort of, not naman personality, but the reputation that comes with having read that book. Parang like, I'm in on the thing.
Right.
As someone who has just very recently read a very, very popular series, Avatar and Fourth Wing, I get how it could become one of those things that you have on your shelf because it's the it thing right now.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on them as books you enjoy at a time in your life. Which I find, I mean, I guess if that's what sparks joy with you, pero parang sayang.
Yeah. I mean, no one's really going out there saying, this is bad, don't do that. Obviously, like us talking here in this podcast isn't really gonna
I mean,
do
you
anything.
do you, guys.
Yeah. But tama ka with the word, sayang. Na like, you're gonna read these books, or maybe not even read, but like you're gonna spend all this money on...
To feel a certain way that you've bought this. Parang naging retail therapy siya.
Yeah. And it's even worse than retail therapy. Kasi like with retail therapy, at least yung mga nabibili mo kahit papaano magagamit mo, like clothes or shoes or books. So like at least there's an opportunity or a chance for you to read these things or use these things rather. But like purposefully buying books that you're not interested in just to achieve an aesthetic. So what, it's just gonna sit on your shelf.
What I do hope is for people who jump on this bandwagon for the aesthetic purpose, parang eventually maybe one day crack open one of these books and get sucked into that world.
Right.
And like just open up to that amazing experience.
Right.
Of the experience of what of being with that book, you know, and going through the world in that book.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess walang basagan ng trip, diba? Like,
yeah, I get na walang basagan ng trip. Sobrang I agree din naman with that. But also like, I feel it's a little dystopic that you are taking such a fundamental human experience as reading and packaging it for consumption of the external world rather than as something that you would do for yourself. So like, people buy these books, I read these books, I buy these books and read them because I want to read these things and I enjoy them. The reading experience should be mine. Like, okay, if I want to put it on social media, obviously that's fine, you know. I mean, social media is a great place to talk and learn about books and shout into the world about things you love and even maybe find like-minded people. But first and foremost, when you're building a book collection or putting together books, your audience should be you. So I find it a little like, di naman sobrang capitalistic hellscape, pero approaching capitalistic hellscape when you take such a fundamental human experience and package it na your first thought is what will outsiders or what will external people think, like rather than doing these things because you're enjoying them. Diba? You want it to look good for people that you might not even know.
Right.
Kasi online, diba?
Yeah, parang like, I guess the most dystopic version of this that I see is people selling the bookshelf and then pre-packaging the contents according to what aesthetic you want it to be.
Yeah.
Like, ito na yung bookshelf, ito na yung vase na kasama and the anik-anik and whatever. Tapos bibigyan lang kita ng mga kulay ng book na magmamatch. Parang coffee table. Well, coffee table books, does that count as to the like the bookshelf wealth?
I don't know. I would maybe not even then kasi normally coffee table books still speak to the personality
person
of,
of-
diba?
yeah.
Like, I mean, like if you walk into an architect's office,
Right.
the books on the coffee table are probably going to be
Architecture
architecture,
Digest and
right?
like all of these like wonderful like
Buildings and stuff. Yeah.
or like if you go into your tita's house and there's like a coffee table book of like blue and white china.
Oh, then-
Whatever. Mga ganun.
Yeah, my mom's house, her coffee table books are are like coffee book travel guides.
Aww.
So like fanned out on her coffee table are like the one that's on the top currently because she swaps them out depending on what she wants to visit.
Oh, cute.
So like the one that's on top right now is like a visual guide to Turkey because that's her next dream
Oh.
destination.
So that tells me about
My
the
mom,
person.
right.
Right. Okay, so how do you then achieve bookshelf wealth authentically?
Well, to do anything authentically, I think it needs your whole life experience in it. And I would say that bookshelf wealth is achieved much the same way. So like, I mean, di naman necessarily buong buhay mo. I mean, obviously no one's expecting that. Although some readers do this, no one's expecting that you keep like the books you had as a kid forever and ever.
I do regret letting go of my Sweet Valley Junior High books
There you
and
go.
Goosebump books. That is a regret I have.
There you go. Although, yun nga, not everyone does that. Not everyone keeps that. But basically, it's your whole lifetime of adding to your collection with the things that you love and the things that you are interested in. So it tells the story. So like, for example, your bookshelf.
Which Kate just saw.
Yes, I saw it earlier today. But it's fascinating because it told me a lot about you. So like, I saw a bunch of old textbooks from your business admin days when you were in college.
An economic textbook that I will never let go of because I sincerely, sincerely love economics. Thank you, Mrs. Isidro.
Wow, like shout out, bro.
Yeah. And
yeah.
A History of the World shortened to A Hot World. Thank you, Mr. Isidro.
So yeah. And then I saw a bunch of sci-fi classics,
Yeah.
which I rated.
Yes. Kate is literally taking home, I'm going to say no less than 5 books
Yeah,
from my
it's like
shelf.
2 armfuls. So I know you're a sci-fi fan.
Yeah.
And like from there, I can easily tell that, oh, maybe you like sci-fi because of how it talks about humanity and innovation and whatnot. And then it's also got a bunch of romantasy books. So I also know that
A
you
pretty
love,
recent edition.
right? So I also know that you love romance books and fantasy books. And then I saw a bunch of Neil Gaiman and graphic novels, Terry Pratchett. And then I saw a bunch of Funko Pops and stuffed toys.
Pop girl.
Oh my God. Oh my God. No, the Funko Pops were in the
That's PV.
PVs. Oh, sorry. Nakita ko yung mga stuffed toys. Yeah. So, like, you're like a Hayao Miyazaki fan. So, it may have been built over a long or a short period of time. But the point is that it speaks specifically to who you are. It told me, that shelf told me a lot about who you are as a person, what your interests are.
Green flags.
So, yeah. So, I would guess that, I guess I would say that that's how you authentically build a bookshelf wealth trend that really speaks to who you are as a person. Like, I mean, no one else can tell you how to portray you, right? So, like, as long as a shelf is filled with things that are specifically for you, like you are the main audience, then you are achieving that trend, in my opinion.
And then if it just happens to look good, then good for you.
Yeah, and honestly, I've never seen like a shelf that was crowded like that didn't look good in some way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you mean.
Like, it can be messy, but the fact that it's got
Like
all of
my
these
shelf.
things.
There's so many.
Yeah, but the fact that it's got all these things that speak to a human experience, I don't know, it's kind of beautiful to me.
It's like a lived-in house.
Yes, lived in. That's
A
the phrase
cozy
I'm looking
lived-in
for.
house.
Yeah, lived in. It makes it look homey. Not like, have you ever gotten that feeling na when you go to like the show unit of a house or a condo and it just looks so cold and empty
Yeah.
and soulless.
Pero maayos. Magandang kulay, I guess.
It's pretty. It's Instagrammable, but it
It's
also
neat.
has
It's
no
n-
soul.
Yeah.
But like, whether a bookshelf is neat or messy, like I can tell you can just tell if it was really filled with things that are the favorites or
Right.
the things that the reader loves.
Bless this mess.
Yes. And I think
Alright.
that's what makes this trend beautiful.
It's beautiful, but it's easy to slip onto the dark side,
Yes.
I guess. Much with anything else.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So that was our succinct, I guess, conversation
Yeah.
on bookshelf wealth. I mean, let us know what you guys think of bookshelf wealth. I mean, when we post this episode, let us know in the comments. What do you think? How do you think you build bookshelf wealth authentically in your own experience? We would love to hear what you guys think and how you guys do it yourselves. So, just to wrap up this episode, Kate, what is next on your reading list?
Well, next I've got Room 216 by Migs Bravo Dut. It's a sort of coming of age novel about four girls who were roommates at UP Diliman and how they proceed with their lives after.
Cool.
What about you?
Okay, so I want to read. So after I finish Iron Flame, my next book is this very interesting book. Well, very interesting cover of a book called Bookshops and Bone Dust. And when I bought it, I had no idea what the book was about. It just had a very interesting cover of this really buff looking female ogre lady, and there was like a dog and a mouse, giant mouse. And I read the summary, and it's a battle-hungry orc gets injured and thrown off her chosen path. And in this book, which is a prequel to Legends and Lattes by author Travis Baldree, it takes us on a journey of high fantasy, first loves, and second-hand books. And it's apparently a book from the cozy fantasy genre, which I have never read anything from. So that's super.
I'm so excited for you.
I'm also excited for myself. And I think it's going to be a nice break after Fourth Wing.
Yeah.
Like, I hope
Cozy
nobody gets
fantasy
killed
is great.
in this one.
No one's gonna get killed. I've read Legends and Lattes and no one died.
Oh, great.
It's pretty, it's still got high stakes, but it's not high stakes like, people are gonna die. It's
Right.
high stakes that gets resolved. Like, it could be made into one of those family-friendly adventure movies that there are high
Cute.
stakes that it gets the parents kind of like, oh, it's not boring for the parents, but it's also not inappropriate for kids.
Also, parang just reading the summary, I'm like, wow, if I ever give up on this corporate life, I just want to be an ogre who runs a bookstore.
I want to open a secondhand bookstore.
Right.
I think every reader at one point went through a secondhand bookstore phase. And on that note,
Oh, yes.
secondhand bookstores are great inspirations for achieving an authentic bookshelf wealth look.
Really?
Yeah.
How so?
Because all of those books were from someone's shelves. And you know that these are books that someone loved or maybe someone hated. But the point is that someone owned them. They must have experienced passing through several hands. And now that book story continues because now it's in your hands.
Oh, that's a really nice way to
Right?
look at it. Plus, it's cheaper.
Yes!
So it's like book, sakto lang wealth.
Book sale for life.
Okay, and on the last note, what did you think of this wine? It's Lolea. What is it? It's Lolea number 5 Rosé.
It is very sweet.
It's very sweet and it's very smooth. What would you pair it with?
I would pair this with like a rom-com e-novel.
I get what you're saying.
Right?
Like, you're not really looking for that bite.
Like a rom-com
alcohol.
novel with no or little smut.
Yeah, you can take just something
Na
sweet
nakakakilig.
and light and kilig. Pero maybe like a tita book.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like a little tita rom-com book.
You know what? I would read this specifically with Love on the Second Read
Aww.
by Mika De Leon.
Sure.
Because it's very like that. Like it's romance, but it's also cute and light-hearted and very sweet.
Which is also on my TBR
Yes.
file. So maybe I'll read that book with this.
Yes, you should.
All right. So thanks for joining us on this episode of Booklatan. We are your hosts, Antoinette and Kate. You can find more episodes on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and YouTube, and everywhere you find your podcasts. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Booklatan Pod. Booklatan is a book babbling podcast where Kate and Antoinette have a glass of wine and talk about all things books. Booklatan is produced, recorded, and distributed by Big Baby Studios. Find out more about our other shows on Big Baby at itsabigbaby.com or facebook.com/bigbabystudios. Catch you on the next episode. Thanks, guys!